quickly, in 1999, a man named Dan Buettner did some research. He took 20 years and he looked at all these villages throughout the world and found these blue zones where these centenarians were living healthily. And to no surprise to anyone once you hear it, I mean, they did well because this one village, really steep stairs that they had to go to up and down to get to their homes. The lower villages didn't do so well with their health and longevity. So right now, today, we're in the kind of reverse button stage. You know, we have to, despite the fact that there's fitness studios everywhere. Now we're getting better, I think. Again, my opinion. There's fitness studios everywhere, but there's a gap. There seems to be a whole lot of ways to be active, but there's still a gap. There's still way too many people that aren't active. And I mentioned fitness studios carefully because that's not what we need necessarily. But you would think with that information out there, we might say, well, I'm not going to join the gym, but I'm going to join Fit and Feisty and make sure I go on the skating trail or go snowshoeing. You know, so that's what I'm saying. You guys have it in the bag already in that regard. A little bit of movement goes a long way to increase our lifespan and our health span. And lifespan is one thing. I mean, we don't want to necessarily live to be 100 if it means we're sitting in a wheelchair in a nursing home, right? But we wouldn't mind living to 100 if we were also healthy. So movement will help our lifespan and our health span, and that's the focus. And a little bit goes a long way. They say 150 minutes a week, but 10 minutes playing with your grandchildren, 10 minutes gardening, hauling in heavy loads of groceries, hauling them up the stairs. That's what we're talking about. Cardio versus strength training. For me, I'm pretty good at the cardio. I run. In terms of strength, not so much. My son is telling me. And strength training is just as important as the cardio. Obviously, the cardio pumps blood to critical organs, and that helps in terms of your movement and your aging. But the strength training does lots of things too. The strength training, again, might imply, do I have to go to the gym? I'm lifting weights. No, it means, and I'm referring back to my daughter again, she ran very primitive boot camps where she would bring paint cans in just to demonstrate, you know, like you have a paint can in your basement, probably, you might have two, use that. Walk up the stairs with it. Get a bag of potatoes. Like there's lots of things we can do functionally to increase our strength. It's really important for osteoporosis. When your muscles contract and get stronger, it puts pressure on your bones, and that prevents them from becoming porous, therefore osteoporosis. Right now, when you're admitted into the hospital, they take your blood pressure, blood pressure, temperature, it's in my notes, there's 4 of them. Thanks. What the focus they're talking about now is we need to check step count and vitamin D levels, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. There's so much technology out there now, watches, phones. You can actually track your steps. You can track all kinds of things, right? Your sleep. I would really recommend, if you don't already have, a Fitbit or some kind of watch that tracks your steps, because it is a good diagnostic tool, and there is talk that will be in the works soon, and that would be a really good idea in terms of adding to the vital signs that they check, right? What does a body in motion and all this movement actually do for your body? Well, you're better able to burn fat versus carbs, and I'm not talking about, we got to burn fat because we want to lose weight. I'm not talking about that, although having less fatty tissue is just healthier. We don't want fat deposits around our organs. And not to mention, if we have more lean body mass, it just revs your engine better, so to speak, if I'm just trying to keep it kind of layman's terms. We get increased blood flow to our brain and our skin. Our brain, I mean, it's a no-brainer why we need blood to our brain. And your skin, more blood vessels, more blood being driven to your skin promotes wound healing. And I think as we get older, we may, diabetes and fall trips, you get wounds more likely perhaps. And you want those to heal. So keep moving to pump that blood there to do that. weight bearing, you know, you're doing your strength training, you're doing your running, you're walking, your snowshoes, whatever. You want that blood going to your extremities. Protection of telomeres. I love this one. We know that, and I'm saying, exercise, movement promotes longevity. Why does it though? What is it about it? Well, what I've read is the chromosomes that make up our cells have end caps on them, and they're called telomeres. And to keep those cells alive, we have to keep the fibers capped. They're capped by telomeres. If we pump more blood there, it will keep them there, as opposed to the telomeres decaying and the nerve endings decay, or the chromosome decaying, therefore aging. So, you know, that's kind of real information about why it is that we need to keep moving, to keep that blood going up there, to keep those telomeres capped up so they don't decay on us. The next thing after movement, we have, what are you putting in your mouth, actually? And what we want to do is we want to try to focus on lean tissues in our bodies, revs our engines faster, and that's what we want. Men versus women, different basal metabolic rate. Men faster, women slower, of course. Age. As we age, our engines slow down. But we can keep that engine revving if we move, right? So that's the other kind of tie-in. What are you putting in your mouth in terms of trying to keep that engine revving, but also variety and moderation? I'm not a fan of eliminating a major food group, or a nutrient group, I should say. We need proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and all kinds of vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients and things. So by eliminating an entire food group, we've had Atkins, we've heard about the Atkins diet, we've heard about keto, carnivore, they go on and on. I'm not a fan personally of doing that, but what I am looking at closer is, and I'm not going to say vegetarian, I love the term plant-forward eating. Doesn't mean you throw out all the meat in your fridge, it means try to maybe adjust your thinking to having more plants in your diet. Beef versus kidney beans, for example, has same amount of protein, beans do, way more fiber, more iron, more calcium, more magnesium, and it goes on and on and on, than the equal weight of a piece of meat. So, I mean, that's good. There are the environmental reasons that people choose to go with plants more. Of course, I don't know if you've heard about in the Carolinas, they were spraying manure from hog farms to get rid of it, and it was landing in people's properties, and they were getting sick and blah. So, and the chickens being overcrowded in their pens, and then they die, and they need to give them antibiotics, and then we eat the chicken. Like, there's lots of reasons about animals and environmental that people choose to eat more plants. But that's not what I'm saying necessarily in terms of non-animal eating. I'm just saying think about plant-forward eating. I really like that term.